Only 12, 13 years of age, a wire hanging from this bit of beam, and I remember just tying it around my neck and just falling forward. And if I was at a party, I'd make sure I'd leave, go home, just lift it up like an absolute crackhead basically. As soon as she fell pregnant, she cut me off. I'll get a text saying, no, you're not having him this weekend. I don't even know my own son. The police were banging on the door. She's picked up this knife and just cut her wrist and tried throwing me the knife. Luckily I didn't touch it. Police come in, arrested me. She tried to get me done for sexual assault, attempted murder. If I caught it, they would have charged me. 2 days later, got back with her.
What was the point like where you actually looked yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm gonna take accountability?
It was, and the thing is, it was actual that. It was that looked in the mirror, something come over me. So I was training to 6 to 8 hours a day. About 50 brothers all stopped training and just went to pray. And that was the first ever time in my life like I felt this energy through me that I can't even explain. I feel like God waited for me to start moving. Once he installed it, that's when he showed me something else. That's when he showed me Islam.
Alright guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Getting Real with Oli podcast, and today I'm here with another special guest, Kevin, man.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. Alright man, so look Kevin man, it's good to finally meet you. So obviously, you know, we've been speaking and following each other's like footsteps for some time, man. You know, we're finally, you know, meeting in real life. So maybe like where I always want to start with the guest that I have here, I want to start maybe in the beginning. So maybe take us back to your childhood. Tell us who you was when you was like a young person.
So I live in born and bred Luton. My dad, he's hardworking, very hardworking. He come from a background with a lot of hardship. He had to live with his dad from the age of 12, so he had to choose between his mum and his dad to live with. He ended up choosing to live with his dad, which wasn't too great. He ended up, his dad abused him quite a lot, physically abused him with belts and whatnot.
Oh, wow, man.
So he's gone through his own hardship. But for me...
Is that common in Irish culture?
No, that's not even, he's not Irish.
No.
He's not Irish. He's born and bred London, so is his family. But for me, like, I had a good childhood, normal childhood, you know, like as much as there was alcohol and everything involved, but that was just the normality of everything, you know. But for me, my childhood was good. Nothing.
So obviously at some point, you know, you said that your life, you know, took a little bit of a dark turn, right?
Yeah.
So maybe take us to the points in your life where, you know, you started understanding who you was. Maybe take us to like your school period, where you started discovering like who you actually are.
I think from about 11, 12, I started getting really bad anger problems, anger issues. I think like literally most white kids go through this stage of just smashing up houses and like their own house, smashing up the doors and everything else. Like what I know of anyway, there's a lot of white folks that literally just have this anger issues inside them. So for me, like 11, 12, started getting a lot of anger issues. But with the anger issues, I felt like I'd explode, but in the middle of the explosion, I wouldn't want to carry on doing it, but because I've got so far in this self-destruction and smashing everything else up, I couldn't stop. But then after the carnage, I'd end up having all this self-hate and real bad self-hate that at one point it got to like only 12, 13 years of age. After another time of smashing the house up, I ended up going into the loft, as I was explaining to you earlier. No intentions to actually self-harm myself, it just kind of happened. I went up into the loft to just get away. I don't know what I was doing up there, just to get away. Anyway, I was up there and there was a bit of wire hanging from this bit of beam, and I remember just tying it around my neck and just falling forward and just wanting to kill myself. But at the time, obviously your mind is so small that it doesn't comprehend actually what you're actually doing, you know. I think it wasn't until years later I kind of look back and think, but that was quite crazy to do that at that age, you know. But at the time, I'd never thought anything of it.
So where do you think this anger came from though? Like obviously you're saying that you've had this like rage inside of you.
I don't know, man. I feel like I was never connected to my parents a lot. There was no emotional connection. There was no like, you know, even to this day, it would feel weird for me to hug my mum. It's a weird one. The same with you?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I envy the brothers that I surround myself with now. I envy them because they have that emotional connection and they adore and dote on their mother. I don't have that. I wish I do. Inshallah, I'm working on it. But I feel like that lack of emotional connection was never there. And I just, I felt disconnected from people, from my mum, my dad, and I feel like, yeah, with not able to express myself and living in a household where depression or anxiety was never talked about. It was never spoke about. So when you have all these emotions and feelings, you can't express them because no one's taught you about these feelings. So I feel like with that, it just turns into rage, turns into anger. Because you can't express yourself, it just turns into pure frustration and anger.
Well, did your parents like hit you though? That was that.
No, nothing like that. So that's what I mean. Grew up in a household. It was just normal household.
In my household, yeah, because don't get me wrong, I love my parents and they're good parents. But in my household, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I kind of resonate with that. So I think they showed love, but they showed love differently, like it's through food and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so for example, that's why even for me, like I know what you mean. Like, so for example, if my mom, even when my dad, like for example, like for example, when Eid comes, right, and we're doing the embracing, I just find it weird if they like
hug them.
I know exactly.
But that's strange though, because especially from a Muslim background. From what I know, a lot of my Muslim brothers, they're family oriented. They're so close. They can hug their dad, hug their mum.
Yeah. So that's you know what it is, strange. Man. In my household, man. Unfortunately, we didn't get taught that growing up.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were good parents, but they were concerned a lot about like back home politics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us, man, like how else is this anger, like, you know, affecting you in your life? So you said that you've got this anger, and at one point you actually, you know, tried to take your life. How did you get to that point though? The way you actually thought to yourself, I'm gonna go to the the room, and I'm gonna do that.
Like I said, it wasn't intention. There was no intention to do it. I just went the loft is where I used to just go. Like as soon as there was, like I used to smash the house, I used to just go up into the loft or go, you know, and just hide. And at this time, I don't know, I just went up into the loft. There was a bit of wire, and I was that kid, like when you used to smash the house up and you used to go into your bed and just strangle yourself like a crazy madman, you know, like. But yeah, that one time there was a bit of wire. Tried wrapping it around my neck and I fell forward. Nothing happened, luckily. But yeah, I think it was that time. That's when I knew. Whether I explained it or not, or subconsciously I knew that I had fucking some sort of mental health problems or self-hate, or I just hated life. I hated myself, you know.
Was you happy though that you survived?
Yeah, now I am. Alhamdulillah.
I mean, like back then, like in that moment.
But again, like back then, it's just like your brain isn't fully developed. So I feel like you don't see the real scenario of what actually happened, and it's not until maybe in my 20s I was look back and thought, wow, that was crazy. I actually tried to take my, like, if I did, like, damn, that would have been crazy. But and then got into high school, fine, everything was good, man, you know, like, but I've always lacked academically, like reading, writing, and so at some point it's like socializing as well. But I was always popular. Not overly popular, but I was always around the cool kids, as you could say. And yeah, I still kind of had these anger problems at home, you know, at home. It was never anywhere else. I might have had it at school. If the teacher tried making me read or write or something in front of the whole class, I'd end up just storming out or just chucking chairs just to get thrown out so I didn't have to read. So I didn't have to feel that embarrassment of reading like a 2-year-old, you know. Because I was that guy, like the dog went to the, you know, I couldn't read properly, man. And I feel like back then, I don't know how it is now, but back then they don't really pick up on stuff like that. They just see a boy who's lashing out, he's got anger problems, get him out, send him to the principal office, or, you know, send him home.
It depends on, nowadays it depends on the teacher, because the school systems haven't changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're actually quite.
And I feel like with my parents, my mum, I believe she's quite autistic. She's definitely got some form of autism, and I feel like that's why she used alcohol to try and fill that void, you know. And got to high school, everything's good.
Then let me ask you, man. So obviously you're continuing. You have these, you know, emotions. You know, you're lashing out. Yeah. How's this affecting you as you going through like your adult life? So like, tell us like who are you becoming? Yeah. Obviously, everything's energy, right?
Yeah. And
you have all this like negative energy like building up inside of you. What happened? Like, what happened as you grew? Like, you're getting older.
I feel like, well, as soon as you hit 12, 13, that's when alcohol was the normality. You know, so I started drinking from the age of 13 with my cousins, whether it's just at a family event, getting drunk with your cousins and stuff like that. So I feel like that's when alcohol creeped into my life. and it was part of normality. By 13, I was smoking cigarettes. So that is inevitable to lead to something bigger, you know. So by the time I got to 14, I was smoking weed. And I feel like that's when a lot of more of anger issues come across, because if I didn't have the money to buy the weed, or if I didn't have the money to buy cigarettes or get hold of alcohol, then eventually I'd end up just going crazy because I need this, I need that, you know. And I feel like that's where the addiction really started to creep in from such a young age.
Well, take us through that process a little bit. Like, who are you becoming, like, as an adult? Like, you said that you started taking alcohol. Did you start to take other substances as well?
Yeah, no, just weed. From a young age, weed, alcohol, and cigarettes. And then at 15, 16, I was just on a downhill spiral. Like, you know, I remember taking my mum's car out when I was 15, ripped my mum's car off, nearly smashed it into someone's drive-through. They let me back in, they let me back home, and then about 3 months later I took my dad's car out, and yeah, that was the final straw. Then that's when they kicked me out at 16. I was out of the house for about a year, and then since then it was back home, leaving, they kicking me out, leaving, I'll do something, they kick me back out, you know. So from a young age I was always in and out of home.
Do you feel like you were struggling to find out who you was? Like, you were struggling with your masculinity?
I think I said it to you the other day. I feel like everyone had a blueprint, but except me. I felt like everyone had got the manual except me to navigate life. Like, you know, I didn't understand life. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to become a person that I wanted to become. And I feel like my mind couldn't comprehend or didn't understand how to get to another level, how to become a better person, because no one's ever showed me. You know, and then it got to about a year. It was just petty theft. I was getting arrested every other week, and then I was in court.
What were you getting arrested for?
Theft. It was always just theft or something stupid, but getting caught with weed or coke, or, you know, some form of substance. Anyway.
Did the cocaine ever develop into like a full-blown addiction? Yeah,
it did from the age of 19 up until like 25. But again, it's like you don't see it. Exactly like alcohol, it just become part of normality, you know, because everyone else is doing it. And at first it all starts with just, you know, being surrounded with people who are going to parties or doing it with someone. And then it very rapidly went to, I need to get home and just sit there and sniff all this by myself.
Wow, man.
You know, instead of, like, even if I was at a party, I'd make sure I'd leave early so I've got enough gear with me so I can go home, just sniff it up like an absolute crackhead, basically, you know.
So how destructive did it get? Because eventually you got clean, right? So how destructive did it get?
It took me to 29, you know, to actually realise that, wow, like, all these life choices, everything that's happened in my life is because of me, you know.
So you're 29. So it took until 29.
Yeah.
So then, how long was you an addict for? You're 19.
From 19. So 19.
10 years.
Well, 18. I was with this girl from high school, like literally like high school sweetheart. So I thought. She dumped me on the last day of school, so I didn't see her for a couple of years. And then it took about 18, we met up, reconnected. She ended up falling pregnant. And then as soon as she fell pregnant, she cut me off. No reasoning, no nothing. So I had no explanation of or where we was at the time, you know. She just cut me off. And then at 19, I only found out that she was in labour by her sister. I was walking through the Luton town, bumped into her sister, and her sister said she's in labour. So, yeah, I wasn't involved throughout the whole pregnancy or anything like that. And turned up to the hospital. She gave birth to our beautiful little boy. And, yeah, so from the day she told me she was pregnant, it just kind of went downhill.
Why do you think she kept it from you? Did you ever get an answer to that?
Nah, to this day, there's no reason. So young, scared. There's no answers. So.
Do you think maybe also like because of like the lifestyle you were living, was she like afraid of that as well?
Maybe, but at that time I wasn't even heavily in taking cocaine or anything like that. It was weed, alcohol.
So then
But then her family drunk, her dad drunk, and so it was just normal. It wasn't excessive at that time for me anyway. I didn't feel like it was excessive, you know. But yeah, she cut me off. She gave birth. Within about a year, I was just struggling to try and see him. She didn't want to bring him round to my parents' house or my family's side or anything like that. So eventually, I had to go through court because it was just 1 week. She would say she'd be dropping him. Next minute, there's all these excuses, you know. So eventually, I had to just go through court. But when I went to see my solicitor, they said you have to stop all contact because at the time when I was knocking on the door, knocking to basically see my son, she would just come up with all these crazy things to say that I was smashing down the door, like yelling, blah blah blah, which was all untrue at the time.
Why do you?
I don't know. To this day,
you know, I've heard so many stories like this as well. So so many men.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, why did they do this randomly?
And at the time, there was no. I had have done nothing towards her for her to cut me out like that, you know. So I ended up having to just not make no contact whatsoever until the court date. So I think it was like 6 to 8 months. But so I went without actually seeing him, my boy. In that period of time, that's when I felt like subconsciously I was escaping. And that's when I indulged more in cocaine. And that's when it was more just not trying to socialise with it, but trying just to, let's get home and just sniff up. And subconsciously trying to block my problems and my reality.
Do you have a relationship with him now?
No.
Wow. How old is he now?
He's 15. I haven't seen him in 5 years.
So how do you deal with that, man?
I feel like over the years, that's what led to like the self-destruction and everything else, you know, because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with life adversities.
Yeah.
And because sometimes it's not what happens to you, it's how you react, you know. We're in control of our happiness.
100%.
Happiness, it comes and goes, but our contentment, as you could say.
Do you think there was another guy in the picture?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. It was just, we were young. We were both young, kids having kids. And yeah, so from the age of 19, 20, for about 10 years, it was just back and forth. And then about 20, I met a woman, lived in Harpenden with her for about 3 years. And that's when I was coming back to Luton to try and pick my boy up, and then every other week she'll either make up excuses. So I'll get into Luton, and then I'll get a text saying, no, you're not having him this weekend, blah, blah, blah. So boom, straight away, I'll be like, go on a mad one, self-destruct, just feeling sorry for myself. And yeah, that went on for a few years.
Wow. Would you want to see him now though?
Yeah, of course I would. I've done everything. I've done everything in my power to try and reconnect. I feel like when you get to a certain age, it's their choice, and if you're surrounded, you are what your upbringing is. You know,
it's probably negative, like portrayal.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I was perfect because within those years, I never healed from my trauma. I didn't get the answers from her, but I didn't deal with it. I didn't deal with my internal emotions and the stuff going in my brain. Not just from that, but from a young age, you know, not being able to deal with your frustrations, your anger, your emotions. So even when I got access to him and I was seeing him every now and then or whatnot, some months it'd be good, some months it'd be bad, but there was never really a good communication between me and his mum. But I feel like once I started dabbling into cocaine, alcohol was a part of my normality. Weed was a part of my normality.
So if you could see him now, what would you say to him?
I'd break down, bro. I'd absolutely break down. I don't even know him. And that's the sad reality, you know. I don't even know my own son. And but again, it's like I can blame his mum. I can blame this and that. But at the end of the day, there's some form of accountability I've got to take because I might have been there, I might have done everything in my power physically to get access to him and everything else, but I wasn't there emotionally 100%. I wasn't there, like, you know, mentally 100%. So he's seen me get arrested. He's seen me do cocaine. Okay. So again, it's like, well, like I was saying about like trying to hang myself as a kid. It's not until you get older you think, did that actually happen? You know, and I feel like he got to a certain age where, did that actually happen? Did my dad do this, do that? But instead of asking questions, you know, and get the answers to, he kind of just brushed me off and didn't want me in his life. But I feel like he got some form of envy when I hit 25 and met my little girl's mum at the time. She obviously fell pregnant, had my daughter. At this point, I was a better man. But drugs and everything was still involved. But I was better, you know. And for the first time, like my little girl's mum, she showed me what a real relationship should look like. So from the age of 20 to 23, I was in a relationship with this girl in Harpenden, and it was just absolute mayhem. It was chaos, man.
In what sense?
Domestic abuse, violence, from both parts. So she banged the worst out of me, you know, but she had a lot of mental health issues. She had a lot of stuff going on in her past, what she hasn't dealt with. And that's the thing with humans. If we don't deal with it, we're just going to be bringing it into the other person's life who we meet, or, you know, the relationships that we get into, you know. So me and,
you used to hit her?
Yeah. Eventually, like it got really bad. And again, drugs, alcohol involved. You know.
But I think change is possible in that regard.
Like it changes possible. You have to want it, or you have to hit so many rock bottoms to then something's got to click. But then the accountability button, that's where change happens, when you take accountability, you know. But it was so messed up. It's like one time we got into a massive domestic, and I had to ring the police because one of us were going to kill each other. The police were banging on the door. She's picked up this knife and just cut her wrist and tried throwing me the knife.
Wow.
Luckily, I didn't touch it. The police come in, arrested me. She tried to get me done for sexual assault, attempted murder, or like, you know, with the knife.
She threw it at you so you can put the
so I
finger
can catch it, yeah.
Wow, that's a...
So if I caught it, they would have charged me.
That's wow, man.
You think I would have learnt my lesson from that? We broke up. 2 days later, got back with her. And I feel like when you're at your lowest, or when you're not the best version of yourself, you're gonna keep going back to these places where it doesn't benefit you, you know, because you're not at your highest version. You know.
It's like toxic love, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
It's what you know. Yeah. I did something like that when I was like 23. I mean, it wasn't as bad as what you're describing.
That was just literally one scenario. And
so there was a lot of like toxic relationships with different like kind of women. So then how did you finally meet the one that you said that you had a good time, like she was actually, she showed you what it was? How did you meet her?
25, I come out the police cells. My mum and dad didn't want me back home. So my sister said, I've got this friend, you can stay with her, but her sister's staying there as well. Whatever you do, don't try anything with her. About a week later, me and her clicked. Me and her getting up to no good every week, and weeks went on, and then next minute her sister didn't want us in the same house together. So by this point, I found a flat, and we moved in together. And then a few months later, she fell pregnant.
How did that relationship? Are you guys together still?
No, we're not together now. But we've got an amazing relationship. That's my little girl's mum. So
what do you think ended it, man?
Me. Didn't heal. So like, she was the first woman to come into my life and actually show me this normality of a relationship, what it should look like, you know? I didn't know how to deal with that. So then eventually when we did get our own place, when Violet was born, my name was on the door. So I felt like I had some form of control for once in my life, you know, especially after my son and everything else. So when we did have like an argument, I'd end up just packing up all her stuff, throwing them out, just being being a prick, mate, basically.
Would you want to get back to her, with her?
No. She's got a little girl. She's got a family now.
Oh, okay.
No. We're better off apart, you know. Right. But I had to meet her to then lose it all, to then become this person who I am now, you know?
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-awareness to kind of admit that.
Yeah, but it took me till, like, you know, breaking up with her. So I was with her for like 5 years, and yeah, I just didn't deal with my shit, man, my mental health, my emotions. So eventually I end up just chucking it away, you know? And
so, you know that 12, when you was 12, was that the only time you attempted to take your life, or did you try to do it?
No, so when I was about 26, I was living in Flitwick at the time, had a massive argument with my girl's mum. She ended up leaving, went back to Luton. I went on a self-destruct party, sniffing up, drinking weed, and then I tried getting all these pills out of the cupboard. It's funny now, looking back, where I can talk about it, like I said to you earlier. I could laugh about it now, but at the time, I took all these pills, but at the time, I feel like if you wanted to commit suicide, you'd just do it, you know? You're not going to be texting someone saying, I'm going to take my life. So at the time, I was texting my sister, absolutely out of my head, saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. By the time she got round to the flat, I was passed out. I've already had like 2-3 packets of these pills that I took. She's come in, woke me up. The pills was for pregnant ladies or when they had their period or something, you know, so it wouldn't have done nothing for me. But
you just wanted someone to help you.
Yeah, man, it's just a cry for help, you know, because I was like, I was chucking this. The only one good thing in my life was my girl and her mum at the time. I was chucking that away, and at the time my son weren't come round. It was just always on and off, you know, and his mum just left it down to him if he wanted to come round or not. And where he felt a bit envy for my little girl, because he saw a different light. He saw me with a different family, and maybe he thought, why couldn't I have this with you?
Yeah.
Maybe why couldn't I have this love with you? You know, because maybe I didn't show him enough love. You know, my little girl, she knows she's loved. You know, maybe I didn't show that at the time with my boy, maybe because I didn't love myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, how am I meant to love someone if I don't love myself, you know?
Do you feel like you'd be able to ever tell him that though at some point?
Inshallah, brother, man.
God willing, man.
Inshallah.
So let me ask you, man, so you said did you go prison then? Did you say?
Nah. So
I thought you said you came out of...
Nah, the worst thing I got charged for was GBH. So I was always in that court. I don't know how I never went to prison, because I was always in that court, just for stupidness, you know? And then I think it was like 24, 25, I got done for GBH. My solicitor told me to pack a bag, pack a bag, you're looking at least 18 months. Somehow, God willing, never got sentenced. He was like, let's get your stuff, get out of the courtroom before he changes his mind. And that's when 25, had a massive row with my mum, my dad. I couldn't go back there. So something happened. I ended up smashing their phone or something, because they went to call the police. I ended up smashing their phone. The police come. My sister's in Australia at the time. She's phoned my mum and dad, told them, if you press charges, he's going to get sentenced for the previous, the GBH, because I was on like, what do they call it, man? Like, if you do anything in a certain amount of time, you'll get charged for the previous.
Like a probational kind of thing?
Yeah. So then they end up dropping the charges, but they said, I don't want him back in the house. So that's when I end up, my sister found me a place for her mate.
What happened for them to do that?
What's that?
What happened?
With my mum and dad?
Yeah, like in that situation, you said something happened.
Do you know what I think it was? How it started? Because my boy was there. My little boy was there when I got arrested. So my boy was there. And it's like being a kid again. As soon as my dad come home, it's like everyone sit up straight. Everyone, he gets a remote, whatever, everyone sit in silence. And that's what it was, you know. And I remember my boy, he was just sitting there watching his game, watching the TV, and my dad's come in, took the remote and just changed it. And my son's like, look at me. So that's when I just flipped. I was like, you know,
okay.
It's the same patterns again, you know, like.
You had like a fight with your father? Or
Yeah.
One thing left,
and then he went to go call the police. I ended up smashing the phone.
Okay.
So the police come anyway, And at first they wanted to press charges, but my sister explained to them, if you press charges, he's going to get sentenced for the GBH and this.
So then let me ask you a question, man. So obviously you've had all these, you have like this enraged anger in you. You started your addictions. You know, you was like involved in all these toxic relationships. What was the point where you thought to yourself, I need to change? Where was it? Because obviously you're not this person now. You know, you're a fitness guy. You're a fitness guy. Yeah. You found God. You know, you've what's it called? You found a religion as well. Like, how did you get to this point? Like, what was the point like where you actually looked yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm gonna take accountability.
It was, and the thing is, it was actually that. It was that looked in the mirror. So I ended up chucking. Me and my girl's mum ended up moving back to Luton. That's when it completely went downhill, because as soon as we moved back to Luton, that's when I started going around to this guy's house who I used to hang around with, and there's only one thing that happens there: it's coke, drink, alcohol, whatever, you know, you name it, you know. And then that just started getting repetitive every Friday, and then it was on a Monday. And that's the thing, that I'd go on these little binge, and then I'd have 3 days of like a come down, of hating life. And at the time, my girl's mum was like, it's because of you taking this. And me, no, it's not, it's you, it's everyone, it's this. That's the problem, you know? But it was me. I was indulging in everything, which was making me go on to these massive come downs, which is inevitable, it's going to lead to depression, you know? So yeah, we moved back to Luton, it went completely downhill, and then COVID hit. And I moved out, and it was the day of COVID, when the day of lockdown actually hit, and luckily I was able to move out and find my place. But it was that's when I was sitting there, I felt sorry for myself, lost everything, chucked everything away again, you know? And that's when I started picking up cocaine. I was high off my kite, man, and it was the first ever time something come over me, and I've always been disgusted in myself, but this time it just felt different. I feared another 10, 15 years of the same shit, you know, because I didn't want to kill myself, because at the end of the day, I got my little girl, and I feel like even before, I've never wanted to kill myself. It was just a cry for help, you know? It was just like, you just don't want to be living and playing this avatar anymore, you know? And I feel like that's what it is. It's not the fact that life is hard. Life is hard, but I feel like if you just choose your character, choose the avatar that you want to play, then life becomes a lot easier, you know? But yeah, that one time, something come over me, and it was God. I feel like, looking back now, it was God. Put something in me, it was undescribable, and I looked in the mirror, and I knew something had to change. And I've never been academically smart, and so I thought I need to make a change where it's not just visible for me, it's visible for every single person who I've crossed paths with, you know? And that's when I just thought, I'm going to get onto my fitness, but it's not like a gym membership. I'm going to go onto this, like some form of David Goggins type of training, you know what I mean? And that's when it started, and that's when I thought, you know what, I'm going to create an Instagram account and start basically putting my dirty laundry out there, saying exactly who I am, who I want to become, and this is how I'm going to get there. And then that's when it just started unfolding.
But did you see like some sort of video? Like who
no, nothing. It was just another rock bottom moment. But this time something came over me, and I thought, first in my life, it's like, wow, I want to be this person. How do I get to this? How do I get to be this person? Yeah. This is what I've got to do. I've got to wake up at 3, 4 in the morning. I've got to go train. I've got to go to work, come back, train again.
Wow.
But luckily, this time it was lockdown. So I was training to 6 to 8 hours a day. And I feel like that's what rebuilt my mindset, breaking my body down to rebuild that mindset.
Wow, man.
You know?
And then how did you find faith, man? So how did you come into Islam?
Alhamdulillah. So it wasn't until...
So I think that's a story that people... Because obviously, you know, you're an Irishman, you're white, you know, people,
so I come
people are intrigued by this. Like, how did you come...
I come from a Catholic background.
Yeah.
We went to church when we were younger, but it was never serious. No one ever talked about God. No one's ever talked about death. No one's ever talked about, like, the purpose of living, or, you know, or even just being the best version of yourself. No one's ever spoke out loud about that, you know? So obviously a year into my training, I've stacked up all these little wins now, you know. And then I had to get through all these obstacles and adversities, like my daughter's mum meeting someone else. But I just knew if I stayed being that angry, aggressive, manipulative, spiteful person, I'm gonna end up losing my daughter. So then I'm not just gonna lose my son. I'm gonna end up losing my daughter, and this time it will be because of my ego. So with that, like, she met someone, and I just knew I had to put my ego away. And the next day, I'd done a lot of breath work. That's what I feel like helped me channel my emotions and all the pain that I've actually blocked out over the years. And it's like, after feeling all these emotions, whether they're good, bad, by the end of it, there's a weight lifted, you know? And instead of just turning straight to alcohol or drugs or anything like that, I just forced myself to do stuff like that. And then the next day it got easier. And with that is like a little momentum going on. And with that, I actually started liking myself. That's because I'm keeping the promises that I'm making to myself. You know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So I've done it, you know? So I feel like eventually, after keeping these promises that you're making to yourself, you start liking yourself, you know? It's when you're continuously lying and living a quiet, desperate life, you know? I feel like that's when you hate yourself, you know? So I feel like consistent momentum, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just some gym membership, going to the gym doing 3 sets of 10s and stuff like that. It was doing a freaking 10, 20k run, coming back doing like 1,000 repetition type thing, you know? Or going to the park and being out there for 6 hours, just continuous working out. So it was just breaking down the body to rebuild the mindset.
But then how did Islam come into it?
So at the time when I started training, I cut everyone out of my life, like every single person who I've surrounded myself with. And it shows that once you I didn't even just cut everyone out. I just stopped reaching out because I'm in this bubble right now. I had this delusional vision of the person I wanted to become. So over time, I was just realised, like 6 months down the line, I haven't spoken to no one. You know, like I haven't spoken to no one's reached out. No one cares. No one is coming. And a lot of the times, it's like whether you're down and out, that's where most people want you.
It's the truth, yeah.
They want you down and out. Whether it's the evil eye or it's the closest people to you. So regardless, what I've realised is no matter whether you're down and out or at the highest version of yourself, life is going to carry on regardless. So you might as well do life and try to be at the top.
Exactly, man.
You know?
Because even as I'm like when I was like 16, going through my alopecia, looking in the mirror, when I became fit, that's when I lost all my friends.
Yeah.
Like from school.
Yeah.
Because they all wanted to be unhealthy and thing and just continue living like having PFC every day.
Yeah.
And then once I became fit and I wanted to focus on the gym more, they wasn't on this. So I had to adapt. And then that was
sometimes it's a lonely road, and sometimes you got to go down that lonely path.
I'm still a little confused though, man. So like, how did you become?
So obviously, I started training in parks. That's where I started training, and obviously, I was documenting my journey. And then the next minute, a few brothers started reaching out, come train me. I was like, okay. So with that, you just you meet like-minded individuals along your journey. You know, it's inevitable. If you go to the pub, you're gonna surround yourself with other people who are drinking alcohol doing this. If you're just in a park training, it's inevitable you're gonna draw that attraction and other people are gonna get involved. So that's how it started, and then that's when I started actually spending time with a couple of brothers. And then the vision was just so clear and the fire inside me was just so clear. It was like I just wanted to build something for the community, build a name for myself, obviously, but try and make change, try and create change, you know. And change starts with us. It's like people want to change the world, change this. How about we start changing ourselves, and then we can change the people around us. Then we can change the community, and then we can change the town. And that's how I've seen it this whole time, you know. So we started training in parks, and that's when I started doing like calisthenics meetups and stuff like that. And that's when 10, 20 brothers would start linking up, and this went on for months, you know. And then the day when I actually see someone pray, so we all went to London and met all the brothers from London who train. And that was the first ever time there was about 50 brothers, all stopped training and just went to pray. And there's me, the only white person, you know, So I've just got on top of the bars. I'm just chilling. They said they're all going to go pray, so I've just got on top of the bars and I'm just chilling. Next minute, they all started praying, and that was the first ever time in my life like I've felt this energy through me that I can't even explain now, and I couldn't shift, you know. So from that day, that's when it was something was installed in me, you know, because by this time I was doing late dips, I was connecting to the nature, I was outside training all the time, so I was exposed to a higher power in me. I felt like I was exposed to a higher power, and that's when obviously you start liking yourself. Then you start liking your environments because you're putting yourself into environments that benefits you, you know. So I started being connected to a higher power and started seeing the world differently. I started appreciating the world.
So what is it? So what is it that Islam specifically that attracted you? Because obviously sometimes, you know, especially we live in the West, there's a big stigma against like Muslims.
100%, man.
A lot of people hear Muslim, really and truly they think like they're
terrorists.
All terrorists.
Growing up, that's what I thought. Growing up, it's like I had a lot of Muslim friends, but at the time when you're young, you don't look at them as Muslims. You don't even look at them as brown people or different race. They're just your mates, you know. So, and again, like religion and God, death, life wasn't spoke about growing up. So I never questioned it. I never seeked it or anything like that, you know. I was that guy who I thought you live, you work, you die. That's it.
Okay, so you didn't have any stigmas?
Not really, nah. So that was the day when I saw all the brothers pray, and that's when something went through me, and it was like, do you know when your hair stand up on your arms? It was that type of feeling. So from that day, obviously, we went back to the lab, started training, and I started just looking into it. I feel like without even trying, it just kind of just kept aligning, you know. And that's when I started feeling like I do believe in God. I do actually believe in God, because when I'm out doing these late dips and everything else, this is what's giving me this feeling inside me, you know. It's not just the leaves or the water, it's everything energy, that comes. Yeah, it's energy, bro. So I started watching podcasts, Aki Ayman, all them brothers, and then once I actually started to understand like what it takes to be a Muslim, you know, like I thought that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. There's one God, because obviously growing up, when we used to go to church, I feel like even my mum and dad, they don't even know if it's Jesus or God or Son of God. We're so confused what we've been taught, you know, but you don't even question it, you know. So for the first time in my life, I actually was questioning and wanting to seek more, you know, and it just aligned, you know. Jesus was a prophet. There's one God, peace be upon him, Muhammad. All the prophets, and it just clicked and it aligned. And as well as the truth, Islam is a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's not just you believe in God, but it's a lifestyle that's set in stone for a reason. You know, everything's hard, but everything that's hard for us benefits us.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's like gym, it's like training, and everything else. It's all hard, but it benefits us. Everything that comes easy, drugs, alcohol, it feels good at the time because it's blocking reality out. But God knows it doesn't benefit us, you know.
Because when you're escaping, you develop addictions, or compulsions.
Yeah.
When you face like hardship, there's actually a part of your brain that actually starts to literally grow.
Yeah.
And if you stop, and if you stop putting yourself out of your comfort zone and stuff like that, that part of the brain actually starts. I
feel like that's what happened to me from the age of like from as long as I can remember. I feel like my brain just stopped working.
It probably
stopped developing.
It started shrinking. That part of the brain started shrinking.
Yeah, and if you don't seek knowledge, if you don't seek for a better version of yourself, whether it's training, reading, writing, you're gonna stay stuck. And I felt like that's what I was for a long time, just stuck. And I didn't know how to escape. I didn't know how to escape and become someone I liked, you know, until obviously I started making change.
So how long have you been Muslim for now?
1 year. Since still quite fresh. Yeah.
Whenever you have questions, who do you go to? Like just like.
I've got a lot of good brothers around me. To be fair, alhamdulillah, I've got a lot of good brothers around me. So if I need anything.
How did you feel after that doing the Shahada? Like once you took your declaration of faith?
Yeah, so obviously for a year it was just a build up to it. And uncle at the time, where I was living, he was always on to me, you know, when we taking your shahada? So I, soon, brother, soon. And then this one time, my little girl got picked up by her mum, and something come over. I was like, today's the day. I went inside. I was like, uncle, we're gonna take my shahada. He's like, oh, alhamdulillah. And it was just like, no, I didn't question it. It didn't feel wrong. So that's how I knew it was right, you know. So even on the way to the mosque, I weren't sitting there like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah. It was just natural. It was right. It was like, you know.
There's always one of those uncles, man. That, you know, I have a friend. His name is Bobby. Yeah, shout out to Bobby. We had the same driving instructor at one point. His name was Abdul Halik, and Bobby used to tell me every time he just used to be like, so brother, he just used to talk about Islam all the time. Like, when do you take it?
Yeah, trust man.
That's funny. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask. No,
I forgot what I was gonna say actually.
So I was gonna say something, man. So obviously, like, you know. So you've come on this journey, you know, you've embraced this level of discipline, you know, in your life. You're doing all this, like, you know, you're taking accountability. Why do you think then, like, a lot of men like are going through mental health, like in today's society? Then, do you feel like it's a lack of accountability, or do you think it's actually because of like society? Like, do you think it's
society? But then, like I said, man, like, I feel like when you get to a certain age, it's like how many times can you blame society or blame the people you hang around with? Separate yourself. Then I feel like you get to a certain age, stop blaming your surroundings. Blame yourself. You're at this point in your life because of you. You're 40, you're broke, you're addicted to alcohol, addicted to this, whatever age you are, it's because of you, you know? And I feel like unless you fear like another dying, or fear dying that way, and I feel like that's what I was. I felt like I feared dying, knowing that like people would, their last words would be like, oh, he loved a good old drink. Yeah. You know, like, what kind of life is that? I want people to say he was amazing. He had such a kind heart. He was so genuine. He loved people, like, you know. Deep, and I feel like it wasn't just a physical or mental thing I wanted to become. It was a character, you know. I wanted to be a nice person. I didn't want to be this person who you couldn't even trust to be around, like a bit of jewelry or something like that if I've had a few drinks or you know, like, because I'll end up just nicking it, man. You know, and this. Yeah, but I feel like, getting back to Islam, I feel like religion in itself, I feel like a lot of people see like religion, it's like people go to religion at their lowest version of themselves. I feel like God waited for me to start moving, to start making movement, you know, and then once he installed it, that's when he showed me something else. That's when he showed me Islam, you know, but it was like some feeling, some energy that got me moving. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to introduce you to this. And it's just going to enhance it, you know? Like, I wanted to become this nice person, but at the same time, this person who trains like an absolute machine, you know? Because you can do both, you know? You can be an aggressive, angry person, like, channeled in the right way, but at the same time, you can be delicate, you could be a protector, a provider. And that's what I wanted to become. And I feel like once I got to that person, I feel like God was like, okay, here's Islam.
Exactly, man.
You know, and then that just enhanced the purity in my heart. That like now, alcohol, everything, or even stealing or anything like that, I don't do it because it's morally wrong. I do it now. I don't do it now, should I say? It's because it's haram. It's against God's will, you know. So before it was like because I'm choosing. Now it's because I feel that guilt. That form of guilt of like, you know, like this is going to like not please.
Yeah, it's like an
God.
extra level of morality.
Yeah, so but it's good. That guilt is good. It's meant to be there.
Because you wanted the character. It's like you wanted the character of the Prophet Muhammad because that's what he was, wasn't
he? Yeah.
He'd be on the battlefield.
Yeah.
At the same time, he'd be good to his wife.
Yeah, and good for children and stuff like that. So that's why I feel like that's why I got into that. It just come all naturally. It come literally brick by brick without me even forcing it, you know, training with children and everything else, you know.
You let go.
Yeah, letting go of your ego. Being vulnerable is a superpower, you know. Like exposing myself, not to the T, because you know, keep some dark secrets for yourself. But I feel like to let people know, like I was this person. I was ugly. I was horrible. I was violent. I was, you name it. I've been called it and I've done it, and that was me, you know. But I feel like. Yeah, you at some point you need to take accountability, and that's where not happiness, don't chase for happiness, just chase for being a better version of yourself and being content.
Purpose.
Yeah, purpose, man. And a lot of people are seeking purpose in the wrong things. It's like I feel like that's what I was wrong, because I knew there was something, but I didn't know how to build a business. I didn't know I wasn't good with maths. I wasn't good with anything, you know. So I feel like my purpose was with me to become physically strong and mentally prepared for any adversities in life. That's the person I wanted to become, you know, and to be able to be put in a box with only food and water, and alhamdulillah, I'll be okay. You know, I just didn't want any vices attached to me, you know. But I still got work to do. We've always got work to do.
Everyone,
like, you know,
I've
still to this day got vices, you know, bad habits and stuff like that. But I feel like, again, it's like timing.
Exactly.
Timing. It's like when you want it, or when you do start to make that change, it will happen, because it's all about timing. You know.
Because in Islam, God doesn't want you to be perfect.
No, but no one can be.
I mean, no one can be. Exactly.
You know?
The whole reason, because a lot of people that come to learn about Islam, and even some Muslims sometimes, you know, they hold you to such a regard. It's like you have to be like, you know, this saint. You know, you saint.
I feel like again with Islam, like I never got in it for brotherhood or anything like that, which some people do. Which is fine. For me, it was just the truth. It resonated. I understood it. It made sense. It makes sense. So for me, it was never about meeting brothers and being a part of anything, because for me, it was just like, I've come to terms where people come and go out of your life, and it's not about trying to control what happens. It's just about how you react to things, you know? Now go on.
Why do you think then so many people out there, then they struggle to take that accountability though?
Yeah.
Because
it's hard, bro. Yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard. There's two types of hard, man. There's that road where you're living a quite desperate life, which is hard, but the other one is harder. It is harder, but it reaps benefits. You know, it's harder to eat clean, work out when you say you're going to work out, meditate, deep breathe. People can't sit alone. People can't sit still and be quiet in a room, you know? And I feel like that's what people are lacking, sitting still with themselves. And it's not about finding yourself, it's just about creating yourself. But sitting still and doing those deep breath works, or even praying, you know, people don't do that. And that's what, especially in the westernized society, more so the westernized society, people don't do that. That's why they're just stuck. That's why it's easier just to stay in the system, stay in that toxic environment, because first of all, everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, no one wants to walk a lonely journey.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's why, you know, in today's society, actually, meditation has become more and more of a fan. Yeah. You know, really, it's a form of prayer.
It is, yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, and probably maybe me doing that breath work, me connecting to myself, I was in some form praying.
Yeah, it is, because the Prophet, I mean, I'm not saying the Prophet Muhammad did meditation.
Yeah, sit there at the top of Jerusalem.
Just before the Muslims come out, I'm not making something up, but he used to go to the cave a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he did.
Again, it's just sitting in silence.
Exactly, yes. He used to go to that. Like he'd go to. They said that he'd go to that cave and disappear for like hours and days. You know what I mean? So that's time alone, you know. He did something there. So I think. So what is it like specifically about? Like, tell the people a little bit. Like what is it about the breath work like that is like?
I'll tell you the one experience. So I used to do the breath work by myself. Just sitting there breathing. I'll be crying. I used to go on runs and stuff like that. At the beginning of my journey, I'll be running, crying, bawling. But it was like I knew I had to get through this. It was like something come over me that I had to push through this to become something on the other side, you know? And some people feel that, some people do feel that, but they don't want to take that motion. They don't want to take them steps, or maybe they don't know how to. For me, it's just like, I just knew I had to start. It's like starting a business. You don't know how to start, but you just start. You start doing it. It's like you with like documenting people. It's like you just start with your phone, go around London, and then let's build it. Let's open up another door. But unless you don't start making that motion, you're gonna stay stuck, you know? And I feel like that's what it is. People just stay stuck, and they're looking for all this purpose or anything like that in materialistics and stuff that gives them temporary pleasure. But the real purpose is us. Just to be able to feel every emotion. Yeah. That's our purpose as well. To be able to feel hate, love, anger, to feel it all, to understand it. Our purpose is to become, especially as a man, as a Muslim man, to become physically strong, mentally prepared for any situation in life, you know? And a lot of people don't want to do that, you know? So they'd rather just live a quiet, desperate life. And yeah, Monday to Friday, You might be the jack of the lad on a Friday night sniffing up and blah blah, but I guarantee you I can put my life on the line that these men are in those 2, 3, 5 days come downs where they're just depressed, where they hate themselves. But by the time the next Friday comes around, they're feeling good. They're feeling all right because the come down is wearing off. So they do it. So it's a cycle. It's a repeat cycle, you know.
Wow, man, that's the truth, man.
Yeah, man.
So how do you do the breathwork though? Like,
So when I done it,
because you do it in the lake as well, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I just breathe, man. Just literally quiet, being zen. Just being zen. So for me, when I first started doing breathwork, it was more just breathing, just literally deep breaths, and then I'd be crying, and then I'd go through phases of like pride, like where I come from, and then I'd have this feeling of guilt of all the stuff that I've done. But by the end of it, regardless, I'd have this weight lifted off me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I went to this one time to this breathwork. It's called shout out to Leanne. I forgot breathwork something anyway. And I got invited by these two friends, and I thought it was just going to be normal, just to understand how to breathe. I don't know what to expect. So I've gone in there. It was quite packed. I said, I'm just going to go toilet, and she's like, okay, we're going to get started in a second when you come out. I've come out the toilets, and everyone's laying down on these mats with blankets over them. I was thinking, what have I got myself into, man? This is crazy. I thought I would just go in there and everyone was just like, just going to be sitting up on their bums and just breathing, you know. But nah, bro, it was much more than that. It was like a type of breath work that channels it brings you in a different dimension. It brought me into a different dimension. And I don't know if you've like heard or read about all these breath works and stuff like that. Yes, that's exactly it.
He's climbing Mount Everest naked.
It's like an LSD. It's like an LSD, bro. When you get to a certain point of that breath work, it's like an LSD. It takes you to a different dimension. So I was laying there, I got down, I laid down, I was thinking, this is crazy, man. So and then she explained to us like there's going to be 5 different stages of the breath work. We're listening to this music and everything else, and she's going to be talking while we're doing this breath work. By the first stage, obviously, I was just like, what the heck, this is crazy, man. Like, this is mad. The second time she come around, she explained to me how to breathe and everything else. By the third round, I was crying my eyes out. And at the beginning, she said you might feel there's some form of tingling sensation, or you might get cramps. Bro, I was laying there, my hands were in the air, cramped, my legs were seized up, and I was just crying like a baby, crying like an absolute baby. And then by the fifth round, it was done. It was like
crazy.
I went into some form of dimension where I was thinking about my boy, thinking about everything that's happened in my life, and I tried to explain it, but it's nowhere near to what the experience actually was. It was crazy, bro. It was crazy. It was like some form of drug. It was just through breath work. And the woman who does it, she's amazing, man. She does them, and I come out of there and like I've tried to explain it, but it's nowhere near to what it actually does to you, you know? Especially if you have got trauma, if you have got things going on, this stuff will bring it out of you regardless, no matter how big, how bad you are. By the second round, bro, if you give it 110% into the breath work, you're going to be walking out there with like a baby,
100%.
but a weight lifted, you know?
Man. I want to definitely get that and do that, man.
100%. I'll send you her details.
Yeah, please, man.
And stuff like
that.
So
anyway, because we only got we got about 2 minutes. Yeah,
we'll wrap
So
up,
maybe tell us, the final thing I just wanted to even ask you. What's the biggest change that you've seen in yourself from who you was like back then to like who you are now?
What's the biggest change? I'd like to think that I'm a nice person. Like literally, generally, I just want people to be like, he is real, he's raw, he's authentic, and he's actually a good person.
Yeah.
He's got a good heart. That's all I wanted to become, you know, a person with a good heart and strong morals and strong values, you know. But with this journey, man, it's led me to something bigger than me. So obviously I started off in parks, training with kids and everyone else. For the past year, I've been training at Ultimate Athlete every Sunday, holding kids classes, adult classes, calisthenics and strength and conditioning. In the last couple of months, me and another brother teamed up, and we're in the process of opening up our own gym. Inshallah. So inshallah, it's not just it's not just building something for myself, it's building something for the community and creating networks for the younger generation and generations after them, you know.
100%, man.
And inshallah we'll carry on, and it's again, it's like if you stop, nothing will open up, but if you keep going, keep that momentum, a door will open up, and inshallah we'll eventually start going to schools and start creating networks like that, you know.
100%, man. And we'll leave you on that now,
My
man.
brother, man. Assalamu alaikum, my bro.
Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, bro.
Alright guys, if you did enjoy the video, okay, just like, share and subscribe to the video. Okay, you can find all my social media details in the descriptions below, and if you want to find Kevin, all his social media handles will be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and we're out.